A big weekend for wrestling pay-per-views. There's a lot of shows going on. Ring of Honor and NXT are holding some, important shows if you're into those. But really, everyone's talking about two big shows, WWE's Evolution and AEW's All In. I'm going to be releasing prediction videos for both shows, but right now we are starting with WWE's Evolution. And this card for me is a little bit predictable in a lot of spots. I don't feel like we'll get a lot of surprises outside of one match that I'm a little bit unsure about. But that doesn't really hamper my excitement for this card like it would with most WWE shows. I don't remember if it's I don't really know if it's like the nostalgia value for the first Evolution back in 2018 or whatever it was, and really enjoying that show, or just the excitement for another all women's pay-per-view and seeing how that's going to turn out with this roster that might even be a little bit better than what they had going on in 2018. Predictability aside, I am really excited for this show. It being used as sort of a company booking tactic, I'm not so excited about. The first one was booked so that people would stop complaining that women weren't allowed to wrestle in Saudi Arabia. This one is used as counter programming for AEW. I'm not thrilled about that, but I'm happy we're getting the show anyway. What I'm going to be doing is going through the entire card, the matches as currently listed on Cage Match. I'm recording this on Friday, July 11th, so if matches get added after the fact, I'm just going by what Cage Match says. If you guys like the video, please consider leaving a comment, leaving a like, or subscribing, as it really does help a new channel like mine to grow. But with that being said, let's go ahead and start with the first match on the card. So the first match I'm going to talk about is the Battle Royal. This is a #1 contenders Battle Royal for a title shot at Clash in Paris. I believe it is specifically a title shot for the Raw Championship, the WWE Women's World title. So it'll either be against Rhea Ripley or Io Sky, depending on the winner of that match. A lot of people in this: Natalya, Candice LeRae, Nikki Bella, Zelina Vega, Stephanie Vaquer, Nia Jax, Julia, Izzy Dame, Ivy Nile, Lash Legend, Tatum Paxley, Maxine Dupree, Lola Vice, Jada Parker, and Kalani Jordan. Now, out of those names, there's only really three that stand out to me as potential victors. Nia Jax is one, just because she's usually booked very confidently rather. For reasons I don't really understand. You can look at the Royal Rumble for this year when you had a lot of great people in there, like Stephanie, like Jordan, like Julia, like Roxanne, who just didn't really do it a lot. And then Nia got like 10 eliminations. So depending on who wins the match, if Rhea wins the world title, I could see them, if that's the plan, I could see them going with Nia here. But I don't think it is going to be Nia. So you either got Stephanie or Nikki. It's really sort of a toss-up, and I think I'm going to go with what my heart wants in this one. I'm going to say Stephanie Vaquer. I think that regardless of who wins, Io or Rhea, Stephanie can have a phenomenal match with them. She could have a phenomenal match with anyone, really. I do think it'll come down to Nikki and Stephanie in the end, and I just like Stephanie a whole lot more than I like Nikki, so I'm rooting for her. Next, let's talk about a no-holds-barred match. It is Naomi versus Jade Cargill. This is a match that I personally could not be less interested in. I don't really rate Naomi as a worker that much. She always does good work, but she's never really great. I watched her in TNA. I watched her since she's come back, and I just haven't really been impressed by her. But she's sort of like a up in the air sort of non-factor for me in a lot of things. Unlike Jade Cargill, who I actively dislike, so I don't have a lot of interest in this match. I think it's fairly obvious that Jade will win because she has the title match after winning Queen of the Ring at SummerSlam with the winner of Tiffany Stratton versus Trish Stratus. and Naomi holds the Money in the Bank. So my assumption would be Jade wins that match, and then Naomi immediately comes out and cashes in as revenge for this loss. So I have Jade Cargill winning. This is probably the match that I'm most confident about across the entire card. Next, we have a women's Fatal 4-Way Tag Team match. It is the current champions, the Judgment Day, Raquel Rodriguez, and Roxanne Perez being in a replacement for Liv Morgan, taking on Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair, Sol Ruka and Zarya from NXT, and the Kabuki Warriors, Asuka and Kairi Sane. This match, I'm not 100% sure about. I don't think it's going to be Sol Ruka and Zarya. I also don't necessarily think it's going to be Asuka and Kairi Sane. I think it's really down to the Judgment Day continuing their run with the titles, or Charlotte and Alexa taking the titles over to SmackDown. Really, what will seal the deal for this is what I think the plans are with Liv Morgan going forward. And I think the current story that they are telling is for Finn and Roxanne to sort of poison the mind of all the other Judgment Day members to pull them away from Liv. So that way, when Liv makes her return, you have a little bit of uncertainty about who's going to side with her and who's going to side with Finn and Roxanne. And keeping with that story, it would make the most sense for Judgment Day to retain here. That goes a little bit against my thought of, why would Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair be thrown in here? They're bigger stars than anyone else in this match, and they're sort of just a thrown together tag team. Like, what's really the purpose of that other than just to give them something to do for a month? So I could see them winning, but in terms of the story they've been setting up on Raw, I don't really understand why they would take the title off of Raquel when the purpose of the story is she is supposed to be trusting Roxanne, so you don't know where her allegiance lies when Liv returns. So I'm sticking with the Judgment Day to retain. Next up is the NXT Women's title on the line. Champion Jacy Jayne defending against Jordynne Grace. I originally had Jordynne Grace as a 100% lock for this victory. I saw Jacy Jayne as sort of a transitional champion. Now, I don't really know a lot about Jacy Jayne. I've probably watched less than 5 of her matches ever. I've seen a heck of a lot more of Jordynne Grace, so I just sort of have it in my mind ingrained that she's a bigger star, she's a better wrestler, so she'll win the title. The thing that sort of gave me a little bit of pause about this is the winner of this match will face Masha Slamovich in a title versus title fight. Now, initially that makes you think, oh, Jordynne Grace is a lock. Masha Slamovich versus Jordynne Grace is one of the most legendary feuds in all of women's wrestling. So now they're just going to do that in WWE for the biggest stakes that potentially they've had so far, TNA Women's Champion and NXT Women's Champion. But that would make it a really good red herring and a really shocking moment for when Jacy Jayne ultimately sweeps the rug out from Jordynne Grace. Now, in order for that to really be effective, you would have to have confidence that the main roster WWE audience would know who Jacy Jayne is, know who Jordynne Grace is, know who Masha Slamovich is, and know the history that Masha Slamovich and Jordynne Grace have. And they'll probably convey that on commentary, but I don't really think that is effectively ingrained in the mind of the audience. I don't think the WWE audiences necessarily care about the history between those two women. So it's sort of up in the air, in my opinion. I'm still going with Jordynne to win because I think the big money match is her versus Masha. But I could also see the benefit in Masha winning the NXT title and then Jordynne Grace having to chase her for it. But I think the big money is Grace versus Masha for both titles. So I think that's where we're going. I'm going to put Jordynne Grace to win the NXT Women's title. If for no other reason, then I absolutely love Jordynne Grace. Triple threat match next for the Women's Intercontinental Championship. Champion Becky Lynch defending against Lyra Valkyria and Bayley. I don't really see a way where Becky doesn't walk out as champion still. Lyra just lost it, so I wouldn't really see the point in having Becky win just to have Lyra win it back, especially in a triple threat match. I might see a little bit more logic in that if it was in a singles feud, so that you can show Lyra as being the triumphant babyface, overcoming this obstacle that's coming her way. But having Bayley in there sort of muddies that up a little bit and doesn't make sense. And I don't necessarily think that Bayley's in a position to be holding that title. I don't think she would be as strong a champion as Becky Lynch can be now. I also feel like if Lyra is going to win it back in the future, or even if you're not going to have Lyra win it and some other star is going to win it off of Becky, Stephanie or Roxanne or someone coming from it like Kalani Jordan coming up from NXT. You want to let Becky have a long run with the title so that win feels really impactful and feels like they're making a star out of it. So I think this is an easy win for Becky Lynch. The first of our two world title matches for the WWE Women's title, champion Tiffany Stratton defending against Trish Stratus. I think it's a pretty easy win for Tiffany. And when I say easy win, I don't mean like she beats her handily. I just mean I don't see a way which they would strap up Trish in this case. It doesn't really make any sense for them to give Trish the win, especially so since it looks so clear cut that Jade is going to win at SummerSlam. And I think the prestige of Jade winning that title in 2025, it would be better for her to beat Tiffany, especially since Tiffany's had this long run going like around a year ago. She won it at least around SummerSlam time. So I think Tiffany wins it here. I think this is more of a special attraction match, really. Getting Trish in there for name value, and so audience will say, ooh, that's something that I want to take a look at. That's something that I'm interested in, rather than actually buying this is going to be a great match or this is going to be a title change. Pretty cut and dry for a Tiffany win here. What will presumably be the main event for the WWE Women's World title. This is the match that was hardest to call for me. It's champion Io Sky versus Rhea Ripley. I could very easily see Rhea getting a win here. Going to Clash in Paris and either facing, in my mind, Stephanie, but maybe Nikki Bella, and just sort of Rhea being back on top of the division, so that she can eventually start feuding with Stephanie Vaquer, and that being a really breakout pivotal moment for Stephanie Vaquer. But they haven't done anything with Io. Io's title reign has been terrible. I mean, she won it from Rhea in a good match on Raw, then had an incredible defense at WrestleMania. But what has she really done since then? I actually don't. Has she had a match since WrestleMania? I don't know. She's been in some tag matches and she's faced Roxanne Perez on Raw. Yeah, so not really a whole heck of a lot other than that Stephanie Vaquer match she did have, which was a very good match. Not really a whole lot going on in Io's run. So are they just going to give the title to Rhea and just have this run be a total bust? Because that would really suck. That sort of reminds me back of the run Bayley had with the title last year, winning it in a great match at WrestleMania, and then just the booking completely failing her after that and doing absolutely nothing with her. It seems like that's what Io's being set up for here. So they might put the win on Io just so that she has a big title victory in her pocket. And going on, if she's facing Stephanie at Clash in Paris, like Stephanie versus Io is an incredible matchup. I wouldn't say any better or worse than Stephanie facing Rhea. And I feel like if you are trying to really make a star out of Stephanie, and this is complete fantasy booking in my mind, just something I completely pulled out of my ass, saying that Stephanie's going to go on and they're making her into a big star. I'm not saying that she's going to win the title. I don't think she will. But putting her in a feud with the top champion will sort of be a star-making performance for her. She would get just as much out of facing Io as she would facing Rhea. So it's a real toss-up for me. I just think the company has more faith in Rhea, and they're more likely to go with Rhea as their top star, their most marketable star over Io. Because we've seen in the months since WrestleMania, they've been putting more time and investment into Rhea when she's not champion than they have as Io when she is champion. So it's sort of a toss up. I'd be happy with either result, honestly. I would probably prefer Io to win just so she can have like an actual title reign where she does something of significance. But I do think Rhea is going to walk away at the end of this show as the champion. And those are my thoughts on what is going to happen at WWE Evolution. Let me know if you agree with some of my predictions down in the comments. Let me know some of your fantasy booking ideas. Who would you want to win these matches, even if you don't think in your heart of hearts they will? Do you have a significant, a sentimental favorite like I do for Stephanie winning the Battle Royal? Let me know down in the comments. And while you're down there, please like the video. Please leave a subscribe, as it really does help a new channel like mine to grow. If you're interested in AEW, I will be releasing a predictions video for AEW All in Texas a little bit later in the day, so keep your eyes peeled for that. As always, I would really like to thank you guys for watching. Any support that you give means the absolute world to me. I have been Isaiah from Hot Tag Wrestling, and I will see you guys next time.